we still are waiting for a few people, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. If you guys are all muted because we're recording the cooking class today, so we can share it with some other people. If you guys have questions, if you want to raise your emoji hand or type it in the chat box, I can answer your questions after we get done. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. So I sent out the recipes for the sheet pan fajitas and the salad. If you've been to cooking class before, you may or may not have done the salad before. But we're gonna start with the sheet pan fajitas, and they're really easy. I make these at home a lot. You can do it with either chicken or steak. I like to get the steak because at Reese's they cut it up for you already. You don't have to cut chicken, and so I usually do steak, but you can do either. Another thing that you can do to make your life a little easier is to get the low sodium or salt-free fajita seasoning and just use that instead of making your own. But we have cooking class, so we're gonna make our own today. So to get started, so we're gonna put 1/3 of a cup of olive oil in the bowl. And then 2 teaspoons of honey. So a quick trick is if you spray the measuring spoon with cooking spray, the honey doesn't stick. Okay, so 2 teaspoons. All right. So next you're gonna add the seasonings, which is salt, pepper, a teaspoon each of chili powder, paprika, and cumin. And so we're gonna add that in. And then 1/4 cup of lime juice, and you can do fresh squeezed, or I always get the bottles of pre-squeezed and it works out just fine. 2 garlic cloves. And then 2 tablespoons of lime zest. And then just whisk it together. And then, I like to add my vegetables in the bowl and then put them on the tray, but you can do it either way. The directions, I think, say to put them on the tray, put the dressing on them, and mix them together. It really doesn't matter. So I have 1 sweet onion and then 2 bell peppers. And you can do whatever color bell pepper. I don't know if you can see it, I did orange and red, and I just sliced them into little fajita strips. And then toss it in the marinade. And I try to break up the onions a little bit so that they're not just big, huge hunks of onion when they go in the oven. Okay, And so I have a sheet pan lined with foil, and I'm just gonna put the vegetables on the sheet pan, and then they will go in the oven at 425. And I kind of let the marinade drain off a little bit because we still need some of it for the beef after we get it going. Okay. So I kind of spread them out, and then after they roast for about 15 minutes, you kind of want to stir them around, and then while they're roasting, I'm going to put the beef in the marinade and let that sit, and then we'll move them all to one side when we put the beef on there. So. Oh, we're gonna set the timer for 15 minutes. And if you like, and if you like your vegetables more well done, you can definitely do them for 20 minutes and just kind of flip them halfway. So now I'm gonna add the fajita, the pre-cut up fajita meat in here. And then just kind of toss it around so all the pieces get coated. If you do want the steak and they don't have the pre-cut up fajita strips, you can always, we've done flank steak at home and just cut it into little strips. We cut ours a little thicker, and I think it helped it cook, but you can do chicken, fajita. You could even do vegetable, just the vegetables. Okay, so while that's marinating, we're gonna work on the salad, and I'm gonna set this aside. Okay, so this salad is one of our favorite salads around here that we've made multiple times. We've probably made it in cooking class before. It's a great fall salad. And I wanted to kind of show you guys how I thin sliced the onion. So this one calls for half of a small purple onion. And if you really like onions, you can definitely do the whole thing. But I cut the ends off of the onion and then slice it in half. And then just taking a small knife, you just want to make really thin cuts halfway through the onion. So it might be a little hard to see, but just cutting those really thin slices so you're not just getting really overpowering chunks of purple onion in your salad. And so you can kind of see it's pretty thin. I know it's hard to see on the video because I'm kind of far away. And then same with the apple. I just cut it into fourths and remove the core, and I'm left with kind of a flat surface to hold the apple down. And then I'm cutting just really thin slices with it. And you can use a paring knife or a chef's knife, either one. I like, on the apples, I like the smaller knife, so the paring knife. And so I've finished cutting this up. And then once you get kind of to the end, you can save some of the slices and hold on to it with the slices under your fingers. So you already sliced slices under your fingers so you don't cut your finger. So it gives you a little something to hold on to. Okay. And then for the salad, it calls for spinach, which you can definitely do spinach. I like to get mixed, like the mixed salad. So this time, I just kind of got the biggest one I could find, which is like the baby spring mix. I like the spicy spring mix. That there's a brand at Reese's that's a spicy spring mix, which has arugula in it. But any of the spinach or spinach mixes will be just fine. And so I have a big bowl, and so I'm going to put most of the salad in there. And if you've been to cooking class before, you know I make a mess all the time. Okay. So now you just have to assemble the salad and then we'll make the dressing. So I'm going to put the apples and the onions on top. And kind of break them up as you go. And then this is half of the thin sliced purple onion. And again, just kind of breaking it up as I go. And then we're going to add the feta cheese on top. And I got the reduced fat feta cheese. So anytime you can get like a low fat or a fat free version of any of the ingredients, that's always a good idea. Then we have the toasted pecans, which I toasted beforehand since I'm working on the stove. So I just put them in like a nonstick pan and turn the heat on medium and just kind of watch them until they're kind of turning golden and you can smell them. They become pretty fragrant. So I'm gonna sprinkle most of those on there. All right, and then we have the dried cranberries. So if you have diabetes, you want to be kind of mindful of how much of the dried cranberries you have. So 2 tablespoons of dried fruit, doesn't matter if it's raisins, craisins, what have you, is 15 grams of carbs. So we're gonna put a half a cup of the cranberries on here. So just kind of being mindful of how much cranberries you have if you do have diabetes. Okay. So I'm going to set this aside and make the dressing. So we need half a cup of olive oil. And then, fourth a cup of apple cider vinegar. Two tablespoons of the maple syrup. Okay, and then 2 teaspoons of the Dijon mustard. And then a fourth a teaspoon of salt and pepper. And just be careful if you measure it over the bowl so you don't get like excess like that. And then a fourth a teaspoon of pepper. And then just whisk it all together. And then we'll add it to the salad that we made. Okay. So I've got tongs and I'm just gonna mix it all in together. You can keep it on the side and let people add it as they want. I like to just make the whole salad, add it, and get everything tossed and coated. That way I know everything's got kind of an even coating of the dressing and nobody hogged the dressing, which happens in my family quite frequently. All right, and so that's the salad. It's really easy. I think it's a really great fall salad because it's including a lot of those things that we can easily find, like the Gala apples and the pecans and the red onion. And so I make this a lot at home for my family. I think we've probably made it in cooking class before because it is, like I said, it's a favorite around here in the health and wellness department. So that's the salad. We've got about 3 minutes left on the vegetables, but I'm gonna pull them out and add the beef so that can get cooking. And then while the beef's cooking, I'm gonna answer any questions that you guys might have or just kind of talk to you guys. So I'm gonna come over and get the pot. Okay. Okay, so you can kind of see that, I mean, they're kind of browning, but they're getting really soft. And so I'm just going to move all the vegetables to the side, to one side. And I try to be really careful not to rip the foil because it makes for easy cleanup if you don't rip the foil. And then I'm gonna give the beef another good stir and then just dump it all on the sheet pan. And I try to separate the beef a little bit so it's not just one big blob. So it'll cook a little bit more evenly. But you don't have to like have them lined up in individual rows and things like that, just so they're kind of evenly dispersed. Okay. So here's how I have it kind of arranged with the beef on the right and the vegetables on the left. And then I'm gonna stick it back in the oven. And then set the timer, let's see, for about 10 to 15 minutes. We're gonna start at 10 and kind of see how it goes. With the beef, depending on how thick it is, how often or how soon you need to take it out. And then with the chicken, it you do want to definitely get it done. So the beef is kind of however you like what degree of cooked you like your beef. But the chicken, if you do chicken, definitely cook it for the 15 minutes that the instructions call for. I'm going to use a thermometer to see, and I'm just going to try and find the biggest hunk of meat and kind of stab through a couple of them and see if it's done. You can also cut into it and make sure that it's cooked. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to cut through them because the thermometer, the pieces are just so tiny. Yeah, and so our steak is done. And so it was in there about 10 minutes. If you like your steak a little less done, you can take it and check it earlier and see kind of where you like it. But if you do the chicken, definitely do the whole cook time because you want to make sure that's cooked and we don't want raw chicken. So that's the sheet pan fajitas. Again, you can use the tortillas or chips. Or just put it on salad greens with a little bit of cheese, and it's a really great meal.